Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Raw is Jericho! Hell yeah! Get some
You will rest in peace.
The whole world will acknowledge me.
Hey, how's it going, everyone? Welcome to our SummerSlam 2002 preview recap. Not a watch along, but yeah, it's a recap.
It's a recap.
But a little flustered, but here we are. I'm Matt. This is Nick, and welcome to the Rasslin Addicts.
I point out it's been like 4 years. It feels like I still haven't acknowledged Roman Reigns as anything other than The Rock's cousin and a reaper of nepotism, to say the very least.
That's okay.
I'm wondering who the next cousin he's going to bring up from the minors to be on the big team with him is going to be. Is it going to be the I think maybe they're going to bring in the they're not Samoan. I think they're Tonganese or something like that. They're a tag team. What are they called? God or something like that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we talked about them.
They might bring those guys on. We'll see.
That wouldn't be the worst thing, to bring up someone, bring them up, give them exposure.
Who's on fire right now? Jey Uso's on fire right now.
Yeah, the right-hand man.
So, real quick, stupid question, but what makes him on fire and not Jimmy? They're the same fucking person.
The story's been building longer with Jey while Jimmy was out.
For all you know, that is Jimmy.
Did you get a new camera?
No.
Oh, you look like really like sharp, like crystal clear, like
maybe you got a stronger internet, a stronger signal.
I've been dealing with some bullshit with Fios, and I know 4 technicians it took. On the fourth one, my man Leslie hooked me up, figured out what the problem was right away, fixed it. I'm now running on like higher speed, and I don't think it's that, which is why the picture looks so good. I think it's just you. Hey.
Thank you. Mighty kind of you to say. But let's get into this SummerSlam. SummerSlam's coming up.
Yes.
When?
August 5th.
I mean, how many events have survived as long as SummerSlam? WrestleMania, Royal Rumble,
Survivor Series.
Survivor Series. That might be it because they got rid of King of the Ring.
Yeah, which is so disappointing.
Yeah.
But this is also, one of my favorites, SummerSlam. It was just nonstop from top to bottom, and I tried to do some homework earlier today, and I gave it a watch, but I didn't get all the way through. I'm actually up to the Intercontinental match between Benoit and RVD, and I just tweeted about this before the show started, that it's weird with, even on the WWE Network, it was like this. There would be some shows you would watch at the time when like Undertaker was using American Badass, and he would have the American Badass theme, Kid Rock. And then you'll watch another event where he still had that music, and then they used the 2002, 2003 songs he was using, which was weird.
You're gonna pay?
Yeah, you're gonna pay. Yeah. Listen, I like that theme. It's just weird because even on
actually don't like that theme.
Which one?
You're gonna pay.
I like with Is it?
I liked he used "Rollin'" by Limp Bizkit for a bit when he made the debut as the American Badass. The music was "Rollin'," but WWE didn't pay for the rights to use "Rollin'" from Limp Bizkit, so they started playing "You're Gonna Pay," and I'm like, wait a second. I remember the debut of the American Badass. He didn't come.
It was Kid Rock.
No, he didn't even come out to Kid Rock. He came out to "Rollin'" by Limp Bizkit.
No, the American Badass. The very first one was Kid Rock.
That was one of his themes. I'm saying is the first time he came out with the motorcycle, the song that played, if I remember correctly, it was "Rollin'." He only used it for like 3 months. It was very short. It was a very short-lived time, and then he switched over to American Badass by I want to say they tethered his using "Rollin'" to a pay-per-view, and then once that pay-per-view was done and they stopped the advertising for it, they switched to Kid Rock.
No, Kid Rock was first. Kid Rock was first because I remember.
I would love to find some evidence of that being true, but WWE has changed it all to be "You're Gonna Pay" because they own the rights to that whack ass song.
Because I'm a loser. No, because I enjoy the art of professional wrestling. I just happen to know that it was like the footsteps walking, and then it was like the girls like dressed up like in those dresses.
Yeah.
And he's here. Then it went da 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 da, and it was in American Badass. And then I think once he went heel and cut his hair, he went to "Rollin'."
I remember it being "Rollin'" for a period.
He had "Rollin'" for at least 2 years because he had it for WrestleMania 18. Actually, I think he had it for 17 also. When he shut down in the Astrodome, it was 17, 18, and 19, and then 20 he was back as the Dead Man.
But yeah, that "You're Gonna Pay" music sucks. I'm sorry. Jimmy Johnson does a lot of good work. That was not any of his good work. And I saw somebody credit The Undertaker as the performer, and I started to listen, and I'm like, is that The Undertaker singing? Because if it is, then it's really wrong.
But what I was getting, you know what? I'll get to that. I'm saying that because it's on my TV right now. But SummerSlam 02, I want to say this was the last Attitude Era SummerSlam, and the pay-per-view didn't give off Attitude Era vibes. I felt like the transition was happening at this time to like the Ruthless Aggression era because all the matches pretty much were bangers. And, the first match of the night, Kurt Angle versus Rey Mysterio. And I think this was Rey Mysterio's pay-per-view debut. And great match. And it wasn't one of those Rey Mysterio matches to where he's like beating the Big Show and like getting in like crazy offensive moves that he shouldn't. Him and Angle had a great competitive match, and you don't really see a lot of those. There was a period of time where you didn't see a lot of opening matches like this that just get everybody hyped. That's the tone for the show. This one did what it did. It set the tone for the show. And I think that this is one of the top SummerSlams out there. Probably top 5, maybe even higher. I'm just, a little high right now, but it's definitely in my top 5.
Cheers. So, obviously, I don't think I've ever made it any kind of secret that I'm a huge HBK stan. So this one is a big deal for me. But that Mysterio and Angle match, just to go by the numbers, we're gonna go one by one here. I'm not gonna skip to the meat. We're gonna have the potatoes and veggies first.
I like that.
But that's a rockism, by the way. Fast 5 for my girlfriend out there who's watching. Fast 5. The Rock says. The Rock says.
Intended.
Give me the meat. By the way, TJ said that you didn't get a chance to finish watching SummerSlam because it was porn o'clock. Thanks, T.
I'm not saying he's wrong.
Listen, I'm letting you know that I'm pretty sure that marijuana creates a low motility rate, and that sexual drive is definitely also knocked down by being high as well.
Oh no, it's
a little high, some high swimmers there. Anyway, moving forward. I watched 02 and 03 because originally we were going to do 03, and I watched 03 and I was not moved by the Elimination Chamber match, only because I remember seeing the Elimination Chamber match the year before, and obviously Triple H had I think he had a torn or a pulled groin to the effect that he barely wrestled in 03 in the Elimination Chamber. He literally sat in his chamber the entire time through, and then Brock Lesnar tore his calf muscle while kicking the plexiglass to get to Triple H. TJ says, say again. Oh, I'm sorry, Goldberg.
Yeah.
Goldberg, Brock Lesnar, big dudes that have 5 minutes and don't talk well. As far as your low motility and low sex drive, TJ says, tell that to Matt's crusty socks.
Like, what is this? Why am I getting buried on my own show right now? What the fuck?
The man is crass. So I didn't. 03 is good, but if we're talking about best bang for your buck, about what you're getting, and when you see it, when I see Goldberg on the marquee, I'm just like, fuck him. 3 moves, a couple of punches, a jackhammer, a spear, a mule kick that ends somebody's career. I'm done with it.
You know what? For me, it was too late for Goldberg at this point.
It really wasn't. Look how old he was competing against.
Not his age. The hype.
Oh, the hype. At that point, everybody established that he couldn't wrestle.
But it also sucks so much that Steiner, Goldberg, NWO, all these guys came in after the invasion angle, and I didn't want to bury him on TikTok, but. Troy said he loved, the invasion angle. WWE versus WWF versus WCW was like cool. It was no way near, what it should have been.
When your big draw,
even Ric Flair, came in the day after it ended. That was stupid.
When your big draw, Air and Mark Jindrak, there's a problem. And I love Sean. I love Sean O'Hare, by the way. Rest in peace. But I just wanted to point out, when bringing up 03, Kurt Angle had amazing angles in both SummerSlams. 02 and 03 were Kurt Angle years, hands down. The Rey Mysterio match was outstanding, and the I believe it was the Lesnar match the following year was amazing. Yeah. Yes. It was amazing.
Great match. And that's why I like when you said 03. I definitely thought you meant 02 because of HBK. And for me, 03 should have been like Orton's, like that SummerSlam should have been Orton versus HBK. That's where they were going in the storyline. But because Triple H was hurt, which is why they threw everybody, in the chamber with.
I give a lot of respect to Triple H for performing while hurt.
Yeah.
But it did kind of take away from the event.
It did.
You
knew it was to protect him.
He had those weird pants on. Obviously,
listen, it's a cool figure though. It's a cool action figure.
He had compression shorts on in order to obviously compression shorts help with circulation if you have pulled muscles or if you just had surgery. A compression shirt, shorts, whatever that's going to help you out with that area. So he had the compression shorts on with his briefs on over it. It looked a little weird because you're not used to seeing him that way. You're not used to seeing him in long pants since he got into the game. When he became the game.
Corporation, he stopped doing that in the corporation, 99. Well,
not necessarily corporation, because when he got to the corporation, he did have the Triple H pants with the classic Hunter Hearst Helmsley V cut, and they were just glittery silver initially.
Once he went to Trunks, he was a superstar.
Yeah,
superstar look with the trunks. No world champion wears pants.
That's not true. Shawn Michaels wears pants.
No one outside of Shawn Michaels.
Hogan wore pants.
Yeah, but he started with the trunks though, brother. The red and yellow, but like it's
Okay. Diesel wore
right.
pants.
Yeah, but Diesel, come on. All right, so all right,
come on.
terrible example because there actually are a lot of people. Undertaker wore pants, so like
Edge wears pants.
like Edge. Yeah. All right, so forget
wore
that.
jorts. You're in your mindset.
Triple H's career turned around the moment he went to trunks, for sure.
Yeah,
like, that look helped him.
You're right.
He was able to look more seriously.
That was the in look at the time. You're talking about the big names in the business. We're talking about Rock. We're talking about Triple H. We're talking about Stone Cold Steve Austin. They wore briefs. That was just the name of the game. Goldberg wore briefs. Hogan wore briefs. You're right. Macho wore briefs until he didn't wear briefs. All the old guys, when they got into their old age, stopped doing leg day, and they were like, we're only going to do biceps.
Look, see? Hogan. Pants. He couldn't do it anymore.
But back to Mysterio and Angle. Amazing match. You're right. Yes. It wasn't anything where it was like Mysterio was dominating. It was, I mean, if I remember right, the finish was a roll up. He just did a nice backward roll up and a quick 1, 2, 3. And
no, it was, he tapped out, which was weird to see. He hit him, Angle hit him in.
Angle one. You're right.
Mysterio hit him with the,
well, that's a twofold.
Angle had the ankle lock, yeah.
It was a twofold situation, and Matt likes it because Mysterio wasn't dominating, and also because Mysterio lost. Because in Matt's mind, Mysterio can't win; he's not big enough.
No,
it's like Kofi.
He could win. No, Mysterio. No, I said like Mysterio and Angle is a good match. I don't like the bullshit where he beats Kane, he beats Mark Henry, he beats the Big Show. You know, like shit like that. Like if he beats Randy Orton, like he did, okay. That's believable because, you know, Orton isn't like a giant. Compared to Mysterio, yes, but the wrestling style is different. These guys are super heavyweights.
But here's my deal, right? I'm okay with a smaller guy winning if it's by 1,000 cuts. Right? I mean, that's like an old kind of saying, a death by 1,000 cuts. I'm not okay with him throwing a punch and it staggering the Big Show. I'm not okay with that. Just like Floyd Money Mayweather. I'm not okay with you throwing a punch at the Big Show being 5'5", or in Mysterio's case, like 5'2", and staggering the Big Show. I am okay with you throwing a quick punch, hitting the ropes, diving between his legs, and then punching him on the back of the head, and then diving behind the ropes again. Like, I'm all right with that part. Yeah. That part, I mean, sometimes speed kills. You don't have to be heavier than the guy, but you got to throw 1,000 punches to equal 10 of his punches.
But that style is more realistic against a guy like Kurt Angle, Randy Orton, even Triple H.
Even Kurt Angle.
Batista? Come on. What offense would they get in a real fight? Batista
again, it would have to be a lot of baseball slides and drop kicks to the knee. That's what it would have to be.
But like you said, like a shot to the face?
No, that's unrealistic. Him punching anybody who's taller than him in the face is unrealistic. You're little, you kick him in the shin. You ever been kicked in the shin before? I got a cut on my shin right now. I don't know where it came from. Right here. It hurt like the Dickens. I just hit my knee. I almost died just now. Get kicked in the shin with some dress shoes on. You ever been kicked in the shin with some dress shoes?
No.
It's hurtful. I'm not saying I have, but I'm just thinking about it. Imagine somebody had some dress shoes on and kicked you in the shin. How would you feel about it?
I wouldn't be happy.
I'm just saying.
Kind of like how you're not happy that Ric Flair had a match at this SummerSlam.
You know what?
Even though it was 2002.
Beautiful segue. I'm watching the match and I'm sitting there watching and I go, this man's got to be at least 65 years old, 70 years old in this match. And you know what it is that Ric Flair was in fact not that old. He was only 50. I think he was 54, 52 at the time, or at least he says he was, but I've got pictures of him wrestling Jesus on page 6 of the Bible. And clearly that is a lie. Him being 52 or 54, that's a lie. Not him wrestling Jesus. That's a truth statement. But true. Point being is, like, if you look on page 80 of the Bible and it says, and then Flair said, woo, it says, it's just written in Aramaic, so it doesn't translate too great.
I like that. That's funny.
But But point being is that the reason that for me Flair always looked too old is a couple of reasons. One, he used to be really chunky. Like, I don't know if you guys know this. Anybody who's not a diehard, or if you're kind of casual, or you don't care about the past, Ric Flair used to look like Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah.
And if you don't know who Dusty Rhodes is, I can't help you because you don't know who Dusty. I don't know what to do with that kind of information when I'm like,
they'd be like, "Is that Cody's dad?" And they'd be like, "Yes,
it is 100% Cody Rhodes' father." But Ric Flair used to be really, really thick.
Yeah.
As like, I don't know if it's appropriate to use that for a man,
but
he was skinny. Let's put it that way. He wasn't skinny. All right.
Yeah. He wasn't.
And he wasn't ripped. He wasn't muscular. He was beefy. I think that's right. Beefy is fair. You could say that. It's not insulting. It's just kind of factual. He had a lot.
Swole? Would you say he was swole or?
No, I would not say he was swole. I would say he was beefy. He wasn't as fat as Dusty, but definitely was not skinny by any stretch. And here's a picture of Ric Flair as a younger wrestler. That is by no stretch of the imagination who you think of when you see Ric Flair, especially the guy on the bottom who is bigger and chunkier than the guy on the top. You can kind of see it in the jaw and the eyebrows that is in fact Ric Flair. That is not a question mark. That is Ric Flair. But point being is that when you lose that much weight, you have excess body skin. For those of you who don't know, I just got into like certified personal training as a business. So I kind of know about. I did. I just got back. I picked up a secondary job doing that. And the long and short of it is that Ric Flair was a chunky boy. He lost a shit ton of weight and became kind of svelte. But the problem is that your skin doesn't shrink like the rest of you. TJ says every time Ric Flair gets rolled out, it makes you think guys like Big Boss Man, Yokozuna Test, etc. got off easy.
Jeez.
Because they're dead and Ric Flair is still getting carried to the ring. Wow, TJ, you are ruthless. I
love it.
But point being is that so Rick never lost that excess skin that he had from being a chunky boy. So when he got older, when he was younger, it was okay. As he got older and time went on, that excess skin started to make him look like an older man, even though plus all the tanning makes you look.
Oh yeah, gross.
Between the tanning and his excess skin, Ric Flair, to me as a young man, I was 2003, I was 16. Ric Flair looked like my grandfather.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I'm sitting there watching Grandpa Ric Flair, which, as a matter of fact, he probably was a grandpa at that point, right?
Yeah, definitely. He definitely was. He fucked around a lot.
Well, no, yeah, but David Flair is already wrestling. So very, very realistically, David Flair was 20-something years old, could have had a child.
Yeah.
I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's very realistic. David Flair showed up in wrestling in 99?
It's more likely that Flair would be a grandfather than most other wrestlers.
Because of his age, who we know his family is. It just very simply, his oldest or second oldest child was already in his 20s. Very likely that he had a grandchild at that point. But point being is that as a 16-year-old kid, I'm sitting there going, my grandpa's not beating up a 22-year-old guy, or a 25-year-old guy or a 30-year-old guy. And there's no way that Ric Flair is beating up this guy right now. It just, to me, in my head, I was like, and I think right then and there is where my disdain for Ric Flair kind of took off. Actually, it's a lie. My disdain for Ric Flair took off when he came back with the Four Horsemen, and I was like, why do we even have this anymore? NWO is popping.
Yeah.
Do we need the horse?
Yeah. I wasn't a fan of this because not only did Ric Flair win, but he won by submission. And, this was at a time to where Jericho should have still been on fire from being the first undisputed champion. Like, how are you going to say he beat The Rock and Stone Cold in the same night? And then he's tapping out to, the
54-year-old Ric Flair.
Yeah, the town drunk.
Drunk. Tom Doyle, town drunk.
So, for me, I was like, I was never a fan of Flair when he was in Evolution. and was doing tag matches with Batista, I was okay with that. I
liked Flair in the role of manager, sitting there helping out Triple H, but just the concept of him getting in the ring with somebody half his age and winning is just ridiculous. It's as ridiculous as Rey Mysterio throwing a punch at the Big Show and it landing and the Big Show being like it's just not realistic. And again, you'll hear a lot of wrestlers say this, and I'm of the same mindset where it's like, as long as it makes sense. And Kevin Nash, Lon Dart, and Rey Mysterio into a trailer makes way more sense than Rey Mysterio throwing a punch at Big Show and it meaning anything to the Big Show.
Yeah.
And Ric Flair beating up Chris Jericho, who just beat The Rock and Stone Cold. It just, you buried Jericho. You lost to Grandpa. Like, good job, dude. Like losing to fucking David Arquette. And everybody be like, oh, but Flair is a legend. Flair's a legend because they make everybody needs to pump the brakes on them when you call somebody a legend. They're a legend because of a little bit of what they do and the fact that they got to push. If a guy is great, but he never gets a push, he's not a legend.
Was it Sting?
And that's the nature of the game. That's the nature of the game. You can be the greatest actor in the world. If nobody puts you in a movie, who gives a shit?
I'm sure you're right. And I'm trying to think, it might have been Sting to where someone was going to do a promo with him and might have been in TNA. And Sting was like, you don't want to call me old man because, if I beat you, you got beat by an old man. And like, what does that say about you?
Sting is a wise man. And then B, Sting's only gotten old recently. Sting to me got old when he came to WWE. But at that point, he was only wrestling old men at that point. He was wrestling Undertaker. He's wrestling not Undertaker, but he's wrestling Triple H.
Yeah.
Who's roughly 5 years younger than him.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And then he wrestled Rollins and he got hurt. And that,
and that was it.
It's not Rollins being unsafe. It's, you have a guy in his 20s and 30s going against a 60-year-old almost.
It's not a Hart versus Goldberg situation with Rollins because Sting has come out and said, like, I don't blame Seth. It wasn't a mistake. My body gave out on me. And you know what? Clap it up for Stinger for being man enough to admit that. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people get sour. A lot of people get sore, like certain people from Canada, and they just blame their opponent. I just want to point out, I don't like either one of those guys. But point being is that Ric Flair just having any type of match on a pay-per-view or for you younger cats out there, is a premium live event. Back in the day, we used to call them pay-per-views.
Even though we had the hot box, it was still a pay-per-view.
Back in the day, I went to Matt's house. I didn't have a hot box. I went to Matt's house. But point being is that I don't like any Ric Flair match after like 1994. When he left WWE, went back to WCW, and you're seeing all these young guys doing young people shit, and it's Ric Flair showing up in a suit talking about how he's 50 years old and he's still high flying, jet flying. I'm like, and maybe if you took less limousines and less planes, you could have gotten your fucking teeth fixed, old man.
Oh, that's great. Speaking of teeth, Edge, who has a great set of teeth, and it was always talked about by JBL and the King. Edge went against Eddie Guerrero, two future Hall of Famers, and they were both young guns at this time. And they represented SmackDown, and this is
pump the brakes. They're not young guns. They were next tier. They were what the Intercontinental Championship and U.S. Championships were built for. The next big thing. They were Brock Lesnar's moniker. Because back in the day, if you were the Intercontinental Champion, you were the next big thing.
Yeah.
You were number 2 in the company.
Yeah.
You were the king of the mid card only because there were other top tier guys that were going to pass that heavyweight championship belt back and forth for a little bit. But if you were the Intercontinental Champion, if you were the U.S. champion in another organization, you were number 2, or you're supposed to be number 2 at least. You're supposed to be. And those two guys were in that tier. They weren't yet in the heavyweight discussion yet. But they were definitely on their way. Them, Benoit, all other guys, you know, it was big.
And they all had the look. They all had the look, and they were all able to go.
They were all in the juice. They were all in the gear.
Yeah, they all were. I mean, and that's why a lot of them aren't here right now. But you know, Edge versus Eddie, like that's like a match that you wish could have taken place like maybe like 5 years later. Like it was a great match, you know, for where they were at the time. But after they were established, I feel like the storylines, you know, the storyline in the match could have been really, really good. They had a lot of bangers together. You know, there was this match on SmackDown that they had that was really good. Eddie and Edge had a great chemistry, and they always put on good matches.
You got to appreciate when guys are just good at what they do. It kind of happens organically. When you put two talents in the ring, and when I say talents, I mean real talents. I'm not talking about Hogan. Hogan couldn't wrestle. I don't give a shit what anybody says. Hogan was safe, but his ability in the ring to do something that you were like, wow, was just not there. And the same thing with and God bless him, I love Kevin Nash, but his ability in the ring to wow you, other than through brute strength, was not there. And it's not their fault. They weren't built that way.
Yeah.
And we've gotten into the role now where you watch smaller guys like Seth Rollins. And to a degree, you're talking about Roman Reigns, who's probably smaller than most of the champions that came before him. And even Brock, when he was early on doing moonsaults off the top rope, was more impressive than anything that Kevin Nash or Sid Vicious ever did. That moonsault off the top rope even though Brock kind of botched it, the mere fact that he was willing to do something like that.
He did it in OVW, so like he had the ability to do it.
He just botched it one time, and it was a bad look, and they were like, "Hey, don't do that anymore." That's all. But Sid wouldn't even jump off the second fucking turnbuckle without breaking his leg.
Yeah.
And is Nash really doing anything that's that impressive? Is he walking the top rope like Taker?
No, not ever. Listen, it's crazy because Undertaker and Kane, what they did for their size.
Jumping up the top rope with the clothesline.
Yeah.
Like a gargoyle on the turnbuckle. That's it's impressive stuff. You don't see a lot of big people doing that, right?
Right.
So, you know, the smaller guys got a lot. When you have in-ring talent, it transcends, especially when you're across from somebody else. That's why Shawn and Brett were so impressive to watch. Right? They were smaller guys, but the things that they could get done in the ring, more so Shawn than Brett. Brett was kind of boring as far as I mean, I'm biased. I mean, it's not that I don't like Bret Hart as a wrestler because I don't know him. I don't know him as a person. It's just that he wrestled a lot like what was traditionally wrestling, whereas Shawn had a little lucha libre in him.
Yeah.
But he kept it American. And
Shawn had a little attitude.
Well, I mean, Shawn did Hurricane Rana's head scissor takedowns, a little lucha libre. You know, he did the whole flare, like hit the turnbuckle, flip over the bar, walk down the thing, and then fall down. That's impressive. That's entertaining. You know what I mean? And then he still also threw in some Japanese elements with the super kick. Super kick's a Japanese thing. You know what I mean? Brett was more of American Canadian style of wrestling, which him not being big wasn't all that impressive. Not to me, at least. I was kind of like, okay, good. He's doing the same shit Hogan does, but 4 inches taller, shorter.
Yeah.
Great.
And no 20 was it 25 inch or 28 inch pythons?
Yeah, no 22-inch pythons.
20, yeah, something like that.
The point is that Edge and Guerrero are always going to have a good match because they're both talented wrestlers. Yeah. And I also want to point out that Edge is a big dude. If you don't know, if you never met Edge or didn't know that Edge was a big dude, he's not heavy by any stretch, but he's a big dude. He's tall. He's like 6'4". That's not little.
That's not little.
That's not little. That's a big dude. And he just looked very lean. It's like Orton. Orton's like also like 6'4", 6'3".
Yeah.
They're big dudes, you know?
Yeah.
They're not rock big. They're not 6'3", 6'4", rock heavy. But again, they don't wrestle like the Rock either.
Right.
And you gotta appreciate that.
The reason why I like this match so much because it really set the tone for where SmackDown was going to go for that year. And 2002 is one of the best years for SmackDown. You know, Paul Heyman was riding for them, and you know, Brock, you know, ends up going over to SmackDown full time. SmackDown was just loaded with all the talent that, you know, became Hall of Famers and are still around today with the company and still wrestling too, which is wild.
They're writing now,
Yeah,
right? I'm pretty sure Jamie Noble was on SmackDown, and he's writing for.
Yeah.
He's writing now.
he was also in his storyline with Seth Rollins, you know, a while back, long time ago. It's, you know, this was a great year for WWE. You know, it was a great rebound from, you know, a terrible invasion storyline, and you know, and it was good because they lost the F. It was get the F out, you know, which I will
always hate that. I will always hate that. Nobody gives a fuck about you, World Wildlife Foundation. You suck.
Yeah, and Vincent and Kerry goes, "God damn it, we're entertainment." So like, you know, but like you don't like. I loved it too when it was WWF because they would be like, "I am the World Wrestling Federation champion." I would be embarrassed to say I am the World Wrestling Entertainment champion.
It takes away from the validity, right?
Yeah. You know, even like with TNA, I am a total nonstop action champion. It goes, oh, thank God they went to like, it was either like you pretty much used NWA, which was good. And then it was Impact. Like I'm the Impact champion. Impact is okay because it sounds like a knockoff of UFC.
It's Impact Wrestling. I am the Impact Wrestling
champion. Yeah.
You're 100% right. The whole WWE thing, and I get it. At the time, they started making movies and shit.
Yeah.
They made a movie recently. Do they do anything outside of wrestling right now? Because I don't think they do.
I don't think they're good.
What was their last movie? Like the Marine 16?
Probably.
Starring Ted DiBiase Jr.?
I want Ric Flair in the Marine. And you know what? In the submarine.
The submarine? Ric Flair in the Marine is the equivalent of Rocky in Rocky 12.
The only tag team
only way Ric Flair could be in the Marine is if he played the fucking Tommy Lee Jones version of like The Hunted, where Benicio del Toro is like the guy he trained, and like Tommy Lee Jones is like, I can find this guy. Ric Flair could be like, I can find this guy, and then like Seth Rollins is playing the actual guy that's killing a whole bunch of people.
I like it. We should do that. We should have a show.
But in the end, Seth Rollins kills Ric Flair finally. He's like he's like Michael Myers. How many times has this man retired?
The only tag team match on the show.
I don't mean to make your show a fucking shit on Ric Flair show. I'm sorry. I apologize.
No, it's cool. I mean, you saw my tweet yesterday with the Ric Flair flop. Time to flop into a retirement hold, old man. Woo! But the only tag team match on the show were the Un-Americans, Christian and Lance Storm versus Booker T and Goldust. And
by the way,
this was
the quick vignette between Christian and I want to say he talked to Flair. No, he talked to Bischoff. It was Bischoff versus Shane O'Mac.
Oh, in 03.
In 03. I love Christian. Whether he's Christian Cage or he's Christian, I love Christian. Jason Rizzo is an amazing wrestler. Everything he does is entertaining.
Yeah.
And I just want to point that out.
And he's great at tag team wrestling, and that's what this match was.
Yeah.
It was like that classic tag team wrestling to where, you know, you have your opponent in the corner, you cut the ring in half. You know, the ref's not looking when the face gets the tag. Then, you know, Booker made the tag. He's cleaning house. Ref gets knocked down, and then Test came in. Pow! Big boot. 1, 2, 3. Americans retained.
I gotta say, Booker T and Goldust is just the most random pairing ever.
Book Dust.
Book Dust, most random shit ever. And you know what though? To me,
entertaining though. It was entertaining.
I'm gonna let you know right now. You're right. It's entertaining, but at the same time, it feels like a Barry on Booker, especially Booker being a former champion.
Yeah.
Only because Goldust was never going to be champion. It's not like the Rock and Sock connection where they're both champions. It's not like the Mega Powers where they're both heavyweight champions. It just felt like it was like, oh, Booker, you were up here. Why don't you bring it down a notch? You were on the top.
That's a whole other show. The Booker T tenure in WWE, his first run. That's a whole show in itself. Because a lot of this shit.
You know what? Come see us next time. We'll talk about Booker T.
There you go.
Who went from pants to briefs?
And then what happened? What did he become?
Took off.
RVD versus Chris Benoit, and wow. I tweeted this out. I was, catching up, doing a little homework, and then, it was porn o'clock. But I paused it on the Benoit RVD match. And as Benoit's making his way to the ring, let me see if I could show it. The
copyright thing.
The Intercontinental
logo.
They blur out the WWF logo, but not the fucking murderer. Not him. Instead, they blur out the WWF logo.
And my lawyer will sit here and say that these are not the expressions of scoreboard. Allegedly, Kevin Sullivan murdered his family.
Whoa! Wait! Time out. Do you honestly believe that?
I don't know. A lot of guys that are in the business think that.
Because I believe it too.
I believe that.
It just doesn't make sense.
I would have murdered him and his whole family after what he did to me.
Yeah.
I was Kevin Richardson. That's what would happen. Or Kevin Sullivan, excuse me.
Yeah.
Kevin Richardson's a totally different person. Kevin Sullivan.
All right.
It's just a lot of way too much coincidence involving Kevin Sullivan. And yeah, we're not going to get into that. That's a dark side of the ring type shit. We're not going to get into
that's where I have a glass with you. And we're together.
The show. We'll talk about that after the show.
Yeah, that is the next show, not the next one, but that's a future show.
That's a future show.
Where you do your bourbon segment for Scoreboard, and then we hop right into the Chris Benoit conspiracy.
This is rum.
Oh, you're drinking rum?
Drinking rum. Ron de Barrilito.
Then you know what?
This is the oldest rum in Puerto Rico.
I think seeing how you're now we're pretty much co-hosts now. And I'm going to have to talk to Coop. Going to have to get that open and updated. Got to get that jabroni. Nah, I'm just kidding. We got to remove Sal, though. Get you on there. And
you know what we do? We do what we do. We take Sal, and it's featuring Sal. Whenever Sal decides to come back and be part of the team, it's featuring Sal until that point. That's all.
You know what? I reached out to Sal a month and a half ago, 2 months ago. I said, you can't go out like this. You need a farewell show. You need a goodbye show. Come on. Let's all say bye. Get your flowers. Want to know what he said?
What'd he say?
I'm still waiting for a response.
He doesn't want to go, though. That's what it is. He's not ready to get his flowers.
Me on red.
Listen, the flowers are for the dearly departed. That's who flowers are for.
Give me a response. Say that. Say take your flowers, shine them up real nice, turn them sideways. I'm part of it.
They're going, do I want flowers or do I want to come back? Because when he makes this triumph, I have a friend of mine that made a triumphant return recently.
It went under the radar, though.
There was some doubt. We were sitting there going like, this guy's not coming back.
I know. We had our group chat about it.
He's neck deep in diapers and a new house. He's never coming back, but he's back like a bad case of the crabs.
And you know what? I'm disappointed that I had to find out because he joined the Slack app. That's how I found out about it.
Listen, he's always been a part of the Slack app. He's just started talking again. Point being is that he's back, and that's all that matters. And I still have hope for you, Sal. And I know you're out there. You might be watching. Come on back to us, son. At least respond back to this fucking text message so this guy doesn't cry on the air. It should be embarrassing. But moving forward, the Un-Americans who defeat the Book Dust, I just want to point out this SummerSlam has the distinction of being the only SummerSlam to not have a title change hands.
What?
Either it's the only or it's the first title, the first to not have titles change hands.
Did you watch this SummerSlam?
Yeah. What title changed hands?
The Intercontinental title?
Maybe I'm confusing it with 03 because I watched.
You're definitely confusing with 03.
I watched 02 and 03 on the same day. It's a lot to watch.
Wow.
I watched. It's called dedication, pal.
What's it like having all that free time? All right. Anyway, we're getting off track. RVD versus Benoit, and this was a brand versus brand match. This was Raw versus SmackDown. RVD was the IC champion on Raw. Benoit was on Raw. Benoit beat RVD, and then Benoit and Guerrero defected to SmackDown. So Bischoff was like, I want my title back. So this was, I think, the first Raw versus SmackDown match since the WWE draft. And RVD came out on top. He took the Intercontinental title back home to Monday Night Raw.
Who was champion at the time? Chris Benoit. Oh, Chris Benoit was the champion. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was 03. 03, no belts changed.
Okay. That makes sense. Because literally, I'm looking at it right now. I'm like, wait a second. I'm like, I know. I mean, even the main event.
Listen, I'm 2 rums deep, and
okay, so we should wrap this up soon. Let's go. RVD versus Benoit. Great match. I think a ladder match between these two would have been off the charts. And, RVD won, took the title to Raw, which is super important as we move on to the next couple of matches.
So the next match, the reason that match is not a ladder match is because of the next match.
I have Undertaker versus Test as the next match. We could breeze through that.
No, that's correct. I'm sorry. I meant the following, the unsane.
Yeah. This match was, to me, a disappointment for Undertaker for SummerSlam. I don't feel like
Edge has any business in the ring with Undertaker.
Test?
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, Test.
Yeah, I want some rum. I see what they were trying to do with Test. They always tried to push him to that next tier. It just didn't work.
They never wrote the right storylines for him.
No. That whole thing
he could have ascended.
Marriage.
He could have ascended with Triple H.
Yeah. Like the fact that those two didn't have a monster feud after he pretty much stole his girl.
Yeah.
You could have even turned Stephanie that way too. It was great what she did against Vince.
It was glazed over how quickly he went into a background. Triple H was in the heavyweight championship conversation, and Test is still somewhere between the mid-card tag team area.
Bro, he didn't get his payback. He got some bullshit title match on Raw, but it was a joke. Like it
wasn't drawn the way it
for that, and no. And for Test, this would have been good for him, but I mean, no one really talks about this. A dud of a match. Undertaker won, held up the American flag on the turnbuckle, and that was what it was. But then the next match, the boyhood dream has come true as the Heartbreak Kid came back and wrestled against Triple H. And to me, this was a good match, but it's always going to have like the what if for me. Because originally, what set this up was, Shawn was in the NWO. Shawn came back a few months earlier. He was in the NWO with Nash. It was him. It was X-Pac, Big Show, Kevin Nash, and Shawn Michaels in the NWO. And then at King of the Ring, Triple H was walking backstage to face The Undertaker. And Shawn was like, if you need us out there, throw it up. And the rumor was that it was going to be the NWO courting Triple H to come to Raw to join them. And that's what, the story was going to be. I think it was going to be him and Nash. But the plan for Shawn to wrestle was never a thing. It took Nash touring his quad and then needing something for Triple H. And then, Triple H was like, give me one match. Just give me one match. And it was supposed to be a one-off, and then it turned into what I believe Shawn's second run is why he's in the Hall of Fame.
I don't think so. I don't think that's why he's in the Hall of Fame.
I think his second run is better than his first run.
I'm not saying it's not. I'm saying it's not why he's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
If I remember right.
Yeah, I mean, he was going in regardless. You're right. He was going in regardless, but
I'm pretty sure Coco Beware is in the Hall of Fame. So let's not get
it's not a real Hall of Fame. Yeah.
Let's not get into the whole like Shawn's only in the Hall of Fame because of his second run. If Shawn would have ended his career in '98 and that was the end of it, we never saw Shawn again, he'd still be in the Hall of Fame. Coco Beware is in the fucking Hall of Fame. Let's not go fucking.
You're right. My bad. You're right. Sorry. I know.
He's in a real Hall of Fame. This is the Vince Likes People Hall of Fame, okay?
That is true. God damn it, pal. Put him in. But this match was great. This match was awesome. And like you said, the reason why RVD and Benoit wasn't a ladder match, this match had tables, ladders, and chairs, sledgehammers. It had everything, and I liked the finish of the match. It wasn't, a pedigree. It wasn't sweet chin music. It was a roll up. And then Triple H was like, Shawn, was happy. He pointed up, relieved. And then crack. Triple H with the sledgehammer. And that's how they were going to write him off. It was going to be done after that. But, and Triple H and Shawn weren't talking up until this point. They had a bad relationship.
I don't think that's right. I think that when Shawn came back sober, and at that point he'd already been on his second marriage, I think that the fences had been mended at that point.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I read Shawn's biography, and he talks about being with his current wife and how she changed his life, having his son and all that stuff. And then I'm watching that match. Shawn has the tattoo on his hand already signifying his marriage.
Oh, okay.
And Shawn comes out and he kneels and he points. He does the new Shawn Michaels entrance where he kneels and says his little prayer and does all that stuff. I think at that point Shawn had already mended the fence that had been broken back in '99 when he was commissioner, and him and Triple H got into that big argument where Shawn said a lot of regrettable things to Hunter, and I want to say at this point they're already over it. Once Shawn came back for NWO,
you're right. It was probably around that time
when
Shawn first came back. Yeah. But I'm so grateful that happened because Triple H's relationship with him, they got Shawn to come back,
and Shawn's now.
And then it was that Elimination Chamber match. Shawn wins the title.
I think by the first Elimination Chamber match, I mean that's what 3 months later, 2 months later.
Yeah,
At that point, Shawn is 100% okay with everybody.
Yeah,
everybody that was there to see Shawn fuck up.
Yeah.
So was that 5 people, 6 people?
At that time, yeah, everyone was gone pretty much. Austin walked out at that time. We're just Taker, Kane.
Everybody and people are like, what about Rock? Rock was already uncommitted from wrestling prior to his match, which is the next match.
Yes,
Brock, the Brock and Rock. But point being is that match with Triple H, both of them gave a little color. Triple H a little bit more than Shawn.
Yeah.
I don't know how, but Shawn stopped bleeding in the middle of the match, but Triple H did not. That was a lot of color. That was a lot of color. Great match by both of them. An all-timer. My only regret is that Shawn wore jeans and cowboy boots. I didn't get that.
Yeah, that was
the
weird.
Unsanctioned part too much. If it's unsanctioned, why is there a referee?
You know what? I think they're making that an action figure. That SummerSlam attire.
Oh, it was awful. It was awful.
I know, but
Shawn was jacked, by the way.
John
the following year at SummerSlam 03 looked worse than he did in SummerSlam 02.
Yes.
Shawn in SummerSlam 02 looked like Shawn in 98. Shawn in SummerSlam 03 explains why he stopped wearing tight pants.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't like those. I didn't like those. What I also didn't like was that this was The Rock's last match until WrestleMania 20. Yeah. Rock versus Brock. The Rock wasn't supposed to drop it to Brock. The Rock wanted to drop it to Brock. That's what he said. Before he left, he goes, he wants to give it to Brock. And honestly, that's the right thing to do. And I'm wondering if Rock did that to kind of like show up Austin in a way. Because Austin walked out because he didn't want to lose to Brock. But now that Rock is here saying that, hey, I'll drop the title to you.
But I don't think so. I think if the roles were reversed, Austin would have been okay with dropping that belt in the same scenario.
No, 100%. 100%.
But I don't think it was like it's a slap at Austin. No.
I just thought of that now. I don't know.
Just because again, if its roles were reversed, Brock would have probably. I mean, it's different though because Rock didn't need wrestling anymore at that point, which is why people sit there and be like, "Who's on your Mount Rushmore of Attitude Era?" And Rock is not on mine because wrestling was. He treats wrestling like Goldberg, where it's like, I don't want to do this. I'm just doing it because it's what I need to do. At first, no, he ended up in wrestling because he's a football player and he couldn't make it in football because of Warren Sapp. All right. So he ended up in wrestling and he got shot to the top because he's related to the right people, which is I hate. I don't disagree. I disagree with that entirely. And that's why I dislike your chosen one, Roman Reigns, because he's related to the right people. They get shot to the top. Rock was Intercontinental Champion within 60 days of stepping foot in fucking WWF. Meanwhile, I had to unfortunately watch the fucking Public Enemy get their asses thrown through tables every week for like 2 months, and they never even won the tag titles. All right,
no one liked them.
Listen, nobody liked Rock either, and he won the Intercontinental Championship.
No, I mean like wrestlers didn't like Public Enemy.
I don't give a shit. Nobody liked Shawn either, and he became heavyweight champion of the world. Like whatever you're gonna say right now about Rock winning Intercontinental Championship at 60 days in the business.
I want to talk about The Rock losing the Undisputed Championship.
I understand that.
The main event is SummerSlam 2002.
But my point is that I don't think Austin was against losing to Brock. He was against losing to Brock in that fashion in the first round of that event.
And he shouldn't. That should have been the finals.
But even if it was, right, even if Rock would have been okay with it, it's because he didn't give a fuck because wrestling wasn't his bread and butter.
Right. But you know what? If I had the pencil, I booked Austin and Brock to be the finals, knowing that The Rock is going to be the champion.
Agreed.
And then you have that, holy shit, we're going to get a WrestleMania 17 rematch between Rock and Austin, or we're getting this young kid Brock versus The Rock. If they would have did that, Austin never walks out. He has matches still, or he gets burnt out, whatever. But either way, Brock versus Rock, I loved it. I thought it was great, even though The Rock lost. And at this time, I wasn't reading dirt sheets, at this age. And I was shocked that The Rock lost. I didn't realize that he was going to be gone doing the Scorpion King or whatever Be Cool bullshit
Be Cool's a
he
great
left.
movie.
I was like, fuck. I'm like, Brock is gone. But it was the future of where it was going. I appreciate it more now because, like, that propelled Brock. And then, he's on SmackDown. He takes on that Raw after. He goes to Bischoff, laughs, and he takes the title exclusively to SmackDown. And that's what really, Kurt Angle, Rey Mysterio, Edge, Benoit, Guerrero, Brock Lesnar, Shelton Benjamin, all these guys on SmackDown. Insane. Stacked roster.
I'm going to be honest with you. I've never been a fan of Brock Lesnar whatsoever.
That's okay.
I'm not a fan of guys who can't get on a microphone and talk for themselves for the first 10 years of their career. I'm also not a fan of part-time wrestlers that leave the business and come back and leave and come back and leave and come back. And I don't like that shit.
Did you like him? You didn't like him back in 2002 because he didn't talk for himself, or?
Yeah, I don't. It's like Goldberg. It's Goldberg all over again.
Yeah.
He has no charisma. I know nothing about this guy other than that he's big. He comes to the ring, he fights, he wins. Goodbye. That's not wrestling. Wrestling is a story being told. His story was that he's big and strong. Thank you. You and fucking 2,000 other guys that are trying to make it in wrestling are also big and strong. Matt Morgan is big and strong.
So random.
Am I wrong?
No, you're not. You're not.
He's big and strong. Big and strong doesn't sell it for me. We saw Andre already. You're not that big and you're not that strong. We saw Andre already. You're not that big and you're not that strong. If I want big and strong, I'll go see The Undertaker or Kane. And you'll sit there and be like, well, Kane didn't talk for himself. You're right.
Yes! Oh, I'm so happy. Oh, my man. Go ahead. Because I know exactly what you're going to say, and I agree.
But there was a valid reason for why Kane couldn't speak for himself. The storyline said he could not. Brock couldn't speak for himself because he wasn't smart enough or quick enough or personable enough to defend himself in a verbal battle of words against the likes of The Rock and Stone Cold. It's the same reason that Bret Hart wouldn't sell during the Attitude Era, because he wasn't mentally quick enough to have a battle of words with Shawn Michaels. That's what it came down to. Shawn could shoot mid friggin' work. He could shoot. Bret could not. If you said something to Bret that was out of the script, he'd be like, Yeah. And you know what? When Rock became less invested in wrestling, he was the same case against Cena. When he had to write notes on his forearm.
John Cena, he was also on SmackDown at this time.
But I digress. Matt, back to you.
This SummerSlam, I think, top 5, probably top 3. I'm going to go down the list of SummerSlams and see. I want to do this for another SummerSlam, and we'll try to stay more on topic with the actual pay-per-view. You decide. Anyone you want, we'll run it. We'll throw it back. And, SummerSlam's August 5th. And, hopefully it's a banger. And hopefully everybody here enjoyed the show. And if you haven't seen SummerSlam 02, go out and watch it. And also make sure that you're liking, subscribed. If you happen to be scrolling through YouTube, you come across us and you like it, there's a ton more content. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and like the videos, comment on the videos. We like to make them interactive. As you could see when TJ came on here earlier and buried the shit out of me. But that's all we have time for today. Let me just find the go home video. Where is it? Oh man, I didn't use my promo video for Underdog. Son of a bitch. All right, you know what? I'll
play it right now.
2 ads next week.
No, play the dog right now.
I don't want to play it now, then play the outro.
All right, fair enough.
It's all right. If you're going on Underdog, use the code Addicts, and you get up to $100 in free play. The summer league is still going. Baseball's coming back from their break on Thursday. So if you need, your gambling itch, we're the Addicts. We know. Use that, and we'll see you next time. Take care, guys. Peace.